Did you notice? I'm feeling uninspired. I think I'm crossing wires. How'd we get here? How'd we get here? Did we get here on our own? The seas are overgrown. I wanna see this to the end. I have no need to pretend. Should've known if I get this off my chest, I'm allowed to keep around this emptiness. So much cleanup and clever mess. Should've known, should've known. You never wanna leave. Room right next to you. You never wanna leave. Room right next to you. You never wanna leave. Room right next to you. And now I wanna leave. Sitting in a room right next to you. And now I wanna leave.
Good morning. This is Mac Tyrrell, Alex Worth, and Joe Drake. This is the show Mac and the Boys. We do current news and some interviews. So today we're going to be talking about the dangerous run-in that we had with Meghan, Harry, and the Markles. So let's get into it with Alex.
Yeah, so last May, it was in New York City. Harry, Meghan, and Meghan's mom left a gala because they were I don't remember, it was the Miss Foundation Award, I believe, was what it was called, and Meghan Markle won the award. And as they were being chauffeured out of there, the paparazzi chased after them. And so these are new details that have been released as Prince Harry is going under some trial in the UK about whether or not he will get protection while in the UK with government-spent dollars. And so these are the newest released details. So this happened a while ago, but most of the stuff has not come out. So during the chase, they called it a car chase, and they said that it went on for 2 hours. The NYPD called the paparazzi reckless, and they have enough evidence to arrest 2 individuals. And the Prince Harry and Meghan, they claim that the car chase lasted about 2 hours and that paparazzi drove on sidewalks and ran through red lights to keep up with their car. They did make it safely to their destination, but there were no injuries or accidents caused. There's been backlash from both sides. Some people are saying that Prince Harry and Meghan are over-exaggerating what went on. I believe the police chief said, was it really a 2-hour car chase? And then there's people saying that some of the cars in their escort were also driving very sporadically and recklessly. So this kind of just leads back to the whole idea of, should we not view celebrities as celebrities, quote unquote, and, give them their privacy? Joe, what do you think?
I think we should still give them their privacy. Because, as I've heard from people driving on sidewalks and running red lights, that's very dangerous for the public. And if you're doing that just to know a bit more about one person, then you probably shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, just to get a photo. Because, if you're a paparazzi, you're just taking photos,
yeah,
all that. And it's also weird because when you think of New York City, you think of, jam-packed streets.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to think about, a chase, driving through downtown New York City. So that's definitely, not going to call them liars, but maybe they stretch the truth just a little bit to make it seem like they're a little bit more of a victim than they actually were. Okay, Joe, what do you got for us?
Recently there's been an offensive gesture by Ronaldo in a recent game. He was suspended for one match, and the game was Al Nassr versus Al Shabaab. The game was 3-2. With Al Nassr winning on Sunday. The video showed Ronaldo cupping his ear and thrusting his hand towards his pelvis, directed towards Al Shabaab fans, which was a little weird. Also, in the crowd, you could hear chants of Messi, which is Ronaldo's longtime soccer rival. And the the Disciplinary and Ethics Committee of Saudi Arabia Football Federation (SAFF) committee announced the ban on social media on Thursday. And next up, Al Nassr's next game will be held against Al Hazam on Thursday.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because Saudi Arabia definitely has some more strict rules and regulations. You'd think Ronaldo, after playing there for one full season, that he would maybe have the common sense to tone down his celebrations just a little bit. Like I get some people get mad all the time because like players are being criticized and punished for celebrations that aren't even that bad. But it's like, yeah, come on, Ronaldo.
That was pretty bad.
Yeah, it's like there's so many more celebrations. You could do the signature Ronaldo. Like, come on, like that's the only one you need. Yeah, that's literally all you need. That's iconic. But yeah, that's just. I know that's something with like college basketball and like taunting and stuff like that, and like the NFL trying to get rid of taunting. I personally like it because it adds interest to the game. Like I think
it gives the players their own sort of.
It gives them their own voice, and it's also good because you think about it. These leagues are making money off social media by posting about the taunting. Mm-hmm. So like you look at the NFL, I believe I think it was Tyreek Hill. After he scored a touchdown, he knew one of the photographers. He took the camera and took a picture with it, and the photographer actually got banned from like the NFL for a year or something like that. But meanwhile, the NFL is out there posting the video of this on their social media page, racking up likes and follows. And it's like, okay, there's kind of a double standard here because same thing with like NBA. They'll give somebody like a technical or eject them for taunting, and they'll go and post that and make money off it. So it's kind of a weird line.
I also thought it was pretty weird how they decided instead of showing it at the game, they decided to show it off on social media instead.
Yeah, it's a weird double standard where it's like, okay, the league can profit off of this like quote like heinous act, but the player can't do it. Like it's a weird line. It's a gray area. But yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with a little bit of taunting as long as it's, not over the top. It's like that. Ronaldo, what you doing, man? That's a grave error. You can't be doing that, especially when you are in Saudi Arabia. That's a big no-no. So we're going to take it to a quick break. Be sure to stay tuned to Mac and the Boys on 88.7 KWDM The Point.
Hey, Jacob.
What's that, Taylor?
What kind of music do you like, man?
Modern rock, of course.
Really? I know a place where we can listen to it.
And where is that?
It's 88.7 KWDM The Point.
Is that Des Moines' #1 modern rock station?
That's so right on.
Then let's turn it up.
All right.
You know you've got that thing that makes the girls all swing. You know exactly what you do. You like the hit and run. You say it's all for fun. You think that I'm the one for you. Boy, if you wanna go, I would not mind. But I'm not the kind of drum you play one time. Boy, if you wanna go, I would not mind. But I'm not the kind of drum you play one time. One time, one time, one time. Boy, I'm not the kind of drum you play one time. One time, one time, one time. Boy, I'm not the kind of drum you play one time. I know I've got that sway that makes the boys all stay. I know the way that man can be. I like it smooth and slow. Give it some time to grow. That's something you should know about me. time. Boy, I'm not the kind of dummy, play it one time. One time, one time, one time. Boy, I'm not the kind of dummy, play it one time. One more time. Play one more time. Play one more time. Play one more time. Boy, if you wanna go, I would not mind. But I'm not the kind of dummy, play one time. Boy, if you wanna go, I would not mind. But I'm not the kind of dummy, play one time. One time, one time, one time. Boy, I'm not the kind of dummy, play one time. One time, one time, one time. Boy, I'm not the kind of dummy, play one time. One time. One time. Boy, I'm not the kind of dummy, play it one time.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone?
Do flowers have best friends?
I don't know. Hey, look.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. A lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
That's just one adoption story that started at a shelter. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Yeah, so today we're here talking about the Supreme Court's immunity hearing on the prospect of the pre-election for Trump. So there has been a lot of delays on this recently, and there has been some other issues with the ballot needing to come up pretty soon. So even if the court rules in June, the timeline is very tight to get started before Election Day. I know Andrew Weissman has been saying he's a legal analysis on the formal special counsel of Robert Mueller's team. You're talking about a time frame that is really pushing up against the general election, and this seems to be the major concern that is happening, just really pushing up against the election time and getting his name on the ballot. The Supreme Court does hold most of the cards here. You know, if they want to have this trial happen, then they can certainly do it. They can hear the case on April 22nd, decides the case very quickly, therefore, afterwards, and allow the judge who's working on this case the ability to start her trial. But again, all of this is just cutting it pretty close, and this seems to be the major issue for some people. The case will be held about a week after the justices consider another relevant Trump case with hundreds of people being charged for offenses relating to the riot on the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. That was pretty wild. Do you guys remember that one?
Yeah, it feels weird that it was so long ago, 'cause I think that was my freshman year, and I'm a senior now. So it definitely does not feel like it's been, 3 years?
Yeah, that was a while ago. It's kind of pretty wild to see that it's still going on today. I mean, wasn't that one of the first times in history that the Capitol has ever been stormed?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
There was also the burning of the White House, though. But that's not.
Yeah, that was more of like that was the War of 1812.
Yeah.
So it's definitely weird. I know that because the 14th Amendment is what the main reason for trying to stop Trump is, and it says that the Section 3 of the 14th Amendment bars current and former federal, state, and military officials who have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the country from holding office again. So, like I said, it's up to the Supreme Court to really decipher the constitutionality or the constitutional version and interpret it how they see fit.
Yeah, it's interesting. Trump pleaded guilty to most of the charges, as well as 3 others that he faces in the election interference case. Trump lawyers has been writing on court papers saying makes no sense to conduct a law complex criminal trial while a case is pending in this court that might invalidate half the charges in the indictment. I find that very interesting, and him just pleading not guilty overall I also find interesting. There's just a lot of controversy over this case, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, especially with like the Republican race. It's really just Trump and Nikki Haley. So like, if he gets shut down, then it's okay. Like you already know who it is, and then it's like there's no point in even having the rest of the caucuses and like primaries. So like it's definitely a interesting scenario for the presidential election. It's interesting timing, and I know he's already been taken off of a few ballots in some states, so I would not be surprised if the Supreme Court rules like the same as the states, just based on the wording of the Constitution. But there might be more there that I'm not an expert in the 14th Amendment, so that's why we have Supreme Court.
Yeah, I know the judge has even came out and said, like, I'm not getting into that when people talk about his prison sentence and what will be the consequences, because most people are just looking at the ballot right here and saying, well, is he going to be on the ballot? Is he going to run? Does he have any chance of winning presidency? But the real question that people are starting to ask is, what is the punishment that he's going to receive? So people have been asking the judge, what is this time sentence going to look like? And she just simply responds with, I'm not getting into that. I respect that. I think it's very much reasonable, but it is very interesting to going to see what's going to come out of this case. Because, even if he doesn't get on the ballot, what happens after that,
And I think that's smart by the judge to just take it one step at a time. You don't want to give the media too much to work with. You don't want to say, oh, he could get 20 years in prison, and that's like the headline. Like, oh, judge says that Trump will get 20 years in prison. Like, there's so much that can be flipped and like used against you that I think it's smart to just take it one step at a time, go through the full legal process, and do everything smart.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I see here that one of the defendants from January 6th, when this whole incident went down, Michael Foy, who assaulted officers with a hockey stick and sharpened pole metal on January 6th, his hearing is also coming up in April. So they are pretty close to his hearing. If they do decide to go with the April 22nd one, all of that will be very close in touch. This will be very interesting for the media, definitely giving it some fuel to the fire with more news. So this will be interesting to see.
Yeah, it's also weird how there's still trials going on for the...
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I think a lot of them got resolved pretty quickly. They were able to identify a lot of people and arrest them and charge them. So it's weird that there's still some people who are just now getting trials.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people, so I can understand how it might take a little bit of time to ID everybody or to properly charge them.
Yeah, I find that all very wild. It happens on the Capitol, and then you have people that assaulted police officers and yet have not still been fully charged, and it's still going on. That's very, very interesting to me.
Okay, so thank you for joining us today on the Mac and the Boys podcast. We'll see you next Thursday right here on 88.7 KWDM The Point.
Just a scar